Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bonnie Emerson. I'm the Superintendent of Community Engagement for Winnipeg Police Service. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the homeland and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, Cree, Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. And I wanted to start by acknowledging today's news conference is in regards to our relatives from Treaty 5 territory who've been evacuated to Winnipeg. So I want to acknowledge them. So welcome everybody. The Winnipeg Police Service, we're hosting this conference because there's been private conversations and public inquiries regarding safety, specifically in regards to fire evacuees coming into Winnipeg from northern communities. We wanted to respond to make ourselves available to answer any questions and queries and share some safety information with the public, with organizers, with service providers, and our community members of what our plans are, what we're doing, and some safety information that has been created and provided. So, newcomers and relatives new to Winnipeg can have the safety and supports and access while they're in Winnipeg. So just wanted to start by saying high level, state of emergency declared by the provincial government, unprecedented in recent memory. The Winnipeg Police Service has mobilized a number of different issues. I'd like to caution that there's no one response to such a complex matter, that what we're looking at is a layered response, and part of that is by the guests that we're having to show the cooperation, the partnership, and the need for us all to work together. So Police Service, we are mobilizing, we've stood up our Emergency Measures Operations Center. I have Inspector John Lutz, who's going to be providing some remarks coordinating that. We've also partnered with other police services, creating a safety brochure. Inspector Kathy Light from the RCMP, they were lead in coordinating and mobilizing to make sure that that information was created and shared with everybody. And of course, the leadership for the affected communities on MKO territory. Grand Chief Garrison Settee is here. And we will make ourselves available to answer questions afterwards. So the Winnipeg Police Service, in addition to the Emergency Response Operations Center, we've mobilized extra resources for general patrol supports. So we have extra people, thousands of citizens in Winnipeg. And we want to make sure we're doing two things. Having a proactive response, making sure that we are here for community safety. That's our lane, that's what we're focused on. So we're here to provide support and resources should people or organizations need them in regard to community safety. But we're also here and communicating it as a deterrence for any individuals who are looking to exploit or prey upon vulnerable people coming into Winnipeg who might not be aware of the resources and supports available to them. We're doing that in partnership with leadership and in partnership with the organizations responsible for setting up those centers. We've also mobilized the proactive and support response within our Indigenous Partnership section, our police liaison teams. They're going daily to the Leela site specifically and the other locations, including hotels, just to engage and meet with both the service providers and any citizens who would like to engage with the police and ask questions. We've set up a phone number for the people at the locations to get engaged with our liaison teams. So if they don't want to do it in a group setting, they're able to phone them and answer any questions, and we're able to provide the supports for them that way. And we're going to be, we are creating in partnership safety forums at Leela and at the Convention Center, where we know a number of the different locations in Winnipeg are being bused to provide supports. So we are, or the Police Service Liaison Team and the Indigenous Partnership Section are having those safety forums specifically meant for citizens who've been evacuated from northern communities and the service providers, so that we're able to hear in real time any questions, concerns, and address safety resource issues if they have any questions. Before we get into any questions then, I'd like to invite Inspector John Lutz to come and speak to the area regarding the emergency measures operation.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Lutz. I'm an inspector with the Winnipeg Police Service, and I'm one of the service's major incident response team commanders. The Winnipeg Police Service understands the extreme difficulty and stress the evacuees are facing. We're sensitive to this difficult situation. My purpose here today is to reinforce the service's commitment to providing safety and support for all of the evacuees, emergency responders, and volunteers, and to supporting our government and community partners during this trying time. My role as a major incident response team commander is to liaise with provincial, municipal, and NGOs to find out directly what their needs are and to assist with the safety and security of all the people involved. The Winnipeg Police Service is dedicated to public safety, and that assistance comes in many forms. That includes, from time to time, locating missing persons, providing safety advice, de-escalating persons in crisis, and getting them to care. We ask that anyone who requires our assistance contact us, and we will do our best to get them to them as quickly as possible and assist. We're better able to assist when we are notified of issues when they are happening and not later on. Just with respect to what we've kind of been dealing with, obviously there's over 14,000 registered evacuees here in the city. There was a feeling that it may tax our resources a little bit, just having that influx of people. So in conjunction with the province and the city, we put extra cars on the road, just in case there are excessive calls or emergency. There haven't been that many, but to date, there's been about, we've attended to 70 dispatch calls for services at the various evacuee sites, and that's including the different hotels. And our members have done about 167 proactive engagements where they're just spending special attention at some of the sites and the parking lots and trying to keep the area safe.
Additional resources remain in the communities and are being specifically assigned work to enhance the safety of evacuees. This includes regular walkthroughs of evacuation centers, conducting extra patrols, and engaging with evacuees to see if they have any safety or security concerns. An example in Thompson, we have partnered with community safety officers and First Nation safety officers, important partners to have full-time patrols in Thompson Regional Community Center, where many evacuees are staying. In addition, the RCMP, in consultation with our partners, many of whom are here today, led the development of a safety security pamphlet for wildfire evacuees that contains important information. Approximately 3,000 of these pamphlets have already been shared with Red Cross and sent to evacuation centers across the province. These enhanced safety measures and awareness campaigns are required, critically important, because we know criminals often take advantage of people during times of crisis. This includes youth, the elderly, or people who are going through a difficult time, and when they're vulnerable. We are all here to help. That's why we're here today. It's important for all evacuees to know that help is available. Don't be afraid to speak up. If you feel unsafe, unsure, or overwhelmed, we are here to help. Leaders from your home community, Red Cross workers, our partners, local Indigenous organizations, and as you'll hear from Grand Chief Settee shortly, the province of Manitoba, the police are all here to help you. If you see anything that doesn't feel right, say something. Throughout these incredibly challenging times, our officers have placed the safety and security of evacuees at the forefront and will continue to do so until everyone is back home safely. Thank you.
Thank you, Inspector Light. And now I'd like to welcome Grand Chief, MKO Grand Chief Garrison Settee.
Danse, Anin Bojo, Almetakopi, Clemente Salutine. This afternoon, I'm very pleased to be here with you to acknowledge the Winnipeg Police Service and the RCMP for this initiative. No doubt this will create awareness, education, for the people who have been evacuated from their homelands and their territories. And this is an ordeal for our people. This is the most massive evacuation we've ever encountered in MKO history. And our utmost concern is the safety of our people, especially the most vulnerable, which is our women and girls, and also our children. So this initiative will address a lot of the concerns our leadership have. Drug trafficking, human trafficking, and sexual violence on our women. These are our utmost concern. So this is a collaborative effort to protect our people. And it takes a collaborative effort to be able to do what we need to do. That's why we're here together, to ensure the safety of the people that we have to look after. At least 14,000 people are in this city, and we must do our utmost to make sure that they're safe. And I'm thankful today that there's a number to call for people that have concerns. And I'm thankful that the Winnipeg Police Service have people on the ground to ensure and to check up on our people to ensure their safety. So this is something I'm very proud of, and our chiefs, no doubt, will be very happy that people are there for them, that the Winnipeg Police Service is there for him, and the RCMP division is there for them. So I'm thankful. It's all about keeping our people safe, and we will do it together. We must do it together, and I think together we can get the job done. Ako saan hindi na nas commit now. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take questions. If you wanted to just state who you'd like your questions directed to, please. Unless there's none.
For Grand Chief, maybe can you just expand a little bit more about, what safety concerns you have for the community members here in Winnipeg?
As I stated before, the most vulnerable are in jeopardy of being solicited for drugs because they're all over the city, and a lot of them are very vulnerable, and those are the people we're concerned about, of course, our women and children. Those are the people we're very concerned about.
Is this something you've seen already?
Excuse me?
Is this something you've seen already happening?
Well, this is not the first evacuation of our people into the city, and we have heard stories from previous evacuations that there were people going around trying to find people to sell drugs to, or also trying to apprehend young women. So this is not the first time, but this is a proactive approach. We have figured out that we must be proactive in order to prevent these. And this is a proactive effort and not reacting until after it happens. So this is making that step to make sure our people are protected.
Grand Chief, I mean, let's look directly on this, but I mean, do you want the province to use the Emergency Act to free up more hotels here in the city?
And they have done,
Yeah.
they've done such measures. We've called upon them to do that. And we see that happening. So hotels are being freed up to accommodate our people so they're not in congregate shelters. Because that's where they will go. The congregate shelters are the places that are targeted the most.
Minister Naylor just said at a briefing at the Ledge that MPO was working on bringing First Nation safety officers to the city. Are you able to say anything about that?
There's some indigenous security companies already mobilized, and there's also different groups that are willing to help. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be having meetings with some of them so to see how we could better utilize them. But also, like, ultimately, it's the Winnipeg Police Service, that will be leading this initiative.
Sorry, one more question, Grand Chief. I mean, if the province and the feds responded to call from your organization and other organizations about getting more firefighting resources to your communities?
We had a press conference 2 days ago, and we were very vocal. We were very emphatic on how much support we needed, and things are happening as we speak today. I know in the Pimicikamakri Nation, there's 30 firefighters being deployed and with additional firefighting equipment, and so that is a response to what we did, and also the feds and the province are now mobilizing, and the premier has indicated to the chief of PCN that things are happening and things are taking place as we speak, and the effort is being, the firefighters are being deployed.
I have a question for WPS.
Thank you, Grand Chief.
You said there were 7 calls to evacuation sites and hotels. Can you elaborate on maybe what those calls were about, and were there any arrests made as a result of those calls?
So I'll, unless John wants to answer, I'll just say that the variety of calls, we're not going to get into the specifics of calls, respecting people's privacy. The messaging that we're hoping to convey today is that when there are calls for service, that we will respond and we will investigate. There are going to be matters that people may be phoning the police about that aren't automatically criminal.
But has there been any criminal incidents that they made arrests on?
So with the criminal process, right, that as you're probably aware with our mapping database, we've got calls for service mapping on our public facing website for the first 10 weeks, that's calls for service. And then once it's confirmed as a criminal matter, 10 weeks on, we have the criminal matters. So I'm not aware of any charges being laid at this point in time.
Is it fair to say those 70 calls were
7 or 70?
70 were due to safety concerns? Like, were those?
Did you say 70? No, I don't think it's fair to say they were all related to safety concerns. I think it's fair to say that some of them are.
Can you just talk about how quickly exploitation can happen in a situation like this with non-tourists who might not be familiar with ways I'm going to pick?
Sure. Exploitation can take place in a number of different ways. When we're talking about alcohol, drugs, and human trafficking, as the Grand Chief shared. And it's preying upon the vulnerable in the sense of trusting. One ways would be trusting relationships. I'll just speak personally, have heard of in past situations of people circling, as Grand Chief said, and people offering individuals, youth, women, to come to residences offering parties in a situation where you might be trusting and not aware and going to a location where you don't know what that is, that's very concerning. So it could happen as quickly as one conversation.
Any particular measures for women and children?
So specifically to women and children is the heightened consciousness and the discussions on it. So when we're talking about proactive initiatives. And I'm also aware of community organizations, and I'm only going to speak for Winnipeg. But I do want to emphasize what Inspector Light noted and Grand Chief noted. We're a Manitoba community, a Canadian community. What happens in Winnipeg affects the North and vice versa. So we're acknowledging that and coordinating our response in order to address it in a more effective way, hopefully. So for women and girls, specifically to women and girls in Winnipeg, that there are community organizations that offer the supports, services, and resources for them. And I understand that they've been engaged.
Superintendent Emerson, in terms of the liaison teams, is there work like they're going in and they're talking to people, having informal conversations? What does it kind of look like?
So that's the wheelhouse of the shade of gray, where their role is building relationships, but so many other police roles are that. For the liaison teams, we're talking about going in, usually in mass assembly situations, which an evacuation center would fall into. Going in, engaging and listening. Going in, looking at how do we mitigate any potential, in this case, safety issue, right? Peaceful, lawful, safe is the mantra. And by listening and engaging with the partners, there's people who know what's happening and they can help inform us on how to better respond. So it's not us coming up with a solution. So we really rely on our liaison team in the briefing that Inspector Lutz has to come and say, here's what we're hearing at the sites, here's the suggestion, and here's how we can redress this together. So it's education before enforcement where possible, would be the short version, a measured approach.
For Winnipeg residents, is there any messaging for them in terms of how they can get involved and help for evacuees?
Well, again, trying to stay in my lane, but my message for Winnipeg residents is have compassion. Pay attention to what's happening in Manitoba. Look at the sites that are supporting relatives from the north. So the province, the city of Winnipeg, MKO, they are messaging what they need and how they can help. And it would be far more effective to go to the people who are doing the work and listen to what they're asking for so that it's a coordinated effort.
Another question for the Grand Chief. Beyond the safety aspects here and, the things need to survive, food, shelter, is there anything more that you're hearing is needed from evacuees in terms of programming, that sort of thing?
One of the most, important things for our people is the mental, emotional well-being. And we're asking for resources to be able to go to the sites because this is an ordeal. There's a lot of people who are traumatized and they're dealing with that stress and also being displaced from their own community. And a lot of people have never been in a city like this, and there's a lot of fear, apprehension. So we need a lot of emotional and even mental health supports. Those are the things that we're most concerned about. And then we had some through Red Cross, but the amount of people we have in our shelters and also in our hotels is not enough resources to be able to handle that group of people. So we're hoping to have more support in that area.
Where would you like to see that support come from? Like community organizations, governments?
Well, we are the main point of contact is allow those people to come to us and how we can system is being deployed into certain areas that maybe they can be most effective.
You feel that that support will also help with this and deterring?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
More?
Question for RCMP, just about the brochures, if I could. You touched on it a bit, but have you been distributing these to the hotels and the evacuation centers? Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, well, we've been relying on the Canadian Red Cross and our partners, as well as ourselves, as distributing the brochures. As a matter of fact, I mean, we're going to have to start looking at potentially doing another print. But there's 3,000 that have been distributed over the last 48 hours.
You know how many were printed?
Approximately 3,000.
Do you know the number of French flyers that were printed and distributed?
Yes, they were just as many.
Just as many as the English
Yes.
ones?
Correct.
Any other languages it was printed in, like?
Again, not only in French and English at this point, but again, we are going to begin starting to look at drafting the second version. There's a number of partners that we would like to work with and start including other numbers and information that would be valuable to evacuees and citizens.
Sorry, so would that be, are you considering printing these pamphlets in indigenous languages or everything?
Potentially, but we're also looking at the value of QR codes and information. And we've learned from our partners with the Winnipeg Police Service, and including Brandon and Manitoba First Nation Police Service. So innovating as we go. This is very fluid, very dynamic. So again, we'll be sitting down as partners and ensuring that communication is constant. Great.
Do you want to share this?
One of the resources we have is that we have people who can speak in our languages, and they're able to take this messaging and verbally read it to the people that don't understand that. So we have people on site that are translators, so that helps.
Any more questions? Thank you.